Can animal sacrifices really forgive sins? I'm going to explore this controversial topic and see what I can uncover. Animal sacrifices have been a part of human history for thousands of years, with many cultures believing that the act of sacrificing an animal can somehow cleanse us of our sins. The idea of killing an innocent animal to atone for human wrongdoings raises a lot of moral and ethical questions. Many people argue that animal sacrifices are a barbaric practice that has no place in modern society. Others believe that they are a necessary part of certain religious traditions. The fact that animals are being killed in the name of forgiveness is a difficult pill to swallow, especially when you consider that these animals are not given a choice in the matter. In many cultures, animal sacrifices are seen as a way to appease a higher power, but this logic is flawed. If a higher power is truly all-powerful and all-knowing, it's unlikely that they would require the death of an innocent animal to forgive human sins. The value of a life, regardless of species, should be respected and not taken lightly. The practice of animal sacrifice also brings up questions about the nature of sin and forgiveness. If animal sacrifices can truly forgive sins, then what does that say about the concept of personal responsibility? Are we simply able to shift the burden of our wrongdoings onto another being, or do we need to take ownership of our actions and work towards true forgiveness? This dilemma is further complicated by the fact that many religions and cultures have different beliefs about the role of animal sacrifices in achieving forgiveness, making it a highly debated and complex issue. Different cultures and religions have their own unique takes on animal sacrifices. In some African and Asian cultures, animal sacrifices are still practiced today as a way to connect with the divine and to seek forgiveness. In Hinduism, the concept of ahimsa, or non-violence, is often at odds with the practice of animal sacrifice. The Bible also contains numerous references to animal sacrifices, particularly in the Old Testament, where they were used to atone for sins. The Quran, on the other hand, emphasizes the importance of compassion and mercy towards all living beings, which has led some Muslims to interpret animal sacrifices as a symbolic act rather than a literal one. Historical practices such as the Aztec and Mayan civilizations' use of human and animal sacrifices to appease their gods are also well documented. In many indigenous cultures, animal sacrifices are seen as a way to maintain balance and harmony within the natural world. The act of taking a life is often accompanied by rituals and ceremonies that acknowledge the animal's sacrifice and express gratitude for its life. Scriptural references to animal sacrifices can be found in many religious texts, including the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, each with its own interpretation and significance. A significant insight that challenges common beliefs about animal sacrifices is that they often serve as a form of social control, where the powerful use them to maintain their dominance over the weaker. This is evident in the way that animal sacrifices are often used to punish or marginalize certain groups of people. The practice of animal sacrifice can also be seen as a way to avoid true forgiveness, which requires a deep level of personal reflection and accountability. By placing the burden of our sins onto an animal, we are able to sidestep the difficult work of true forgiveness and reconciliation. This raises important questions about the nature of forgiveness and whether it can be achieved through the death of an innocent animal. If animal sacrifices are truly effective in achieving forgiveness, then why do we still struggle with the same sins and conflicts over and over again? The fact that animal sacrifices have been practiced for thousands of years, and yet we still grapple with the same moral and ethical dilemmas, suggests that there may be deeper issues at play that cannot be resolved through the death of an animal. The idea of animal sacrifices is rooted in a complex mix of moral and ethical dilemmas, as it raises questions about the value of life and whether it's justifiable to take the life of one being to potentially forgive the sins of another. Many argue that animal sacrifices are a form of exploitation, where the life of an innocent creature is taken to atone for human wrongdoing. This has led to a lot of debate about the ethics of such practices. The role of animal sacrifices in achieving forgiveness is also questionable, as it's difficult to understand how the death of an animal could possibly make up for human transgressions. This has sparked a lot of introspection about the true nature of sin and forgiveness. Different cultures have their own unique perspectives on animal sacrifices, and some even believe that these practices are essential for spiritual growth. However, others see them as barbaric and outdated. The act of sacrificing an animal can be seen as a way to transfer guilt from one being to another, but this raises even more questions about the fairness and justice of such a system. In many religious traditions, animal sacrifices are seen as a way to appease a higher power and seek forgiveness for past wrongdoings. For example, in some ancient cultures, animals were sacrificed to gods and goddesses in the hopes of receiving blessings and avoiding punishment. Scriptural references to animal sacrifices can be found in many holy texts, including the Bible and the Quran. The historical practice of animal sacrifices has been well documented, with evidence of such rituals dating back to ancient civilizations in Egypt, Greece, and Rome. In some cultures, animal sacrifices are still practiced today, often as a way to mark important life events or to seek protection from harm. The significance of animal sacrifices varies greatly between cultures, but they often serve as a way to connect with the divine and seek forgiveness. A significant insight that challenges common beliefs about animal sacrifices is that they may not be as effective in achieving forgiveness as we think. In fact, many argue that true forgiveness can only come from within, and that animal sacrifices are simply a way to avoid taking personal responsibility for our actions. This challenges the traditional view of animal sacrifices as a means of atoning for sins, and instead suggests that we need to look within ourselves to find true forgiveness. The idea that animal sacrifices can forgive sins is also problematic because it implies that the life of an animal has the power to erase human wrongdoing. This raises important questions about the nature of sin and forgiveness, and whether animal sacrifices are truly an effective way to achieve spiritual cleansing. The complexities of animal sacrifices and their implications for modern belief systems are multifaceted and far-reaching. In conclusion, the question of whether animal sacrifices can really forgive sins is a complex one, with different cultures and religions having their own unique perspectives on the matter. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment with your thoughts on this topic, and if you're interested in exploring more controversial topics like this, be sure to check out my video on the ethics of religious practices.